Her Excellency Sheikh Hasina, Prime Minister of the Republic of Bangladesh. I request protocol to escort Her Excellency. I have great pleasure in welcoming Her Excellency Sheikh Hasina, Prime Minister of the Republic of Bangladesh. I invite her to address the Assembly.
I am delivering the abridged version of my statement due to time constraint. The copies of the original and longer version have been provided to you all. Mr. President, Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. I am here today to deliver my 19th statement to the UN General Assembly. I would like to congratulate you on your election as the President of the 78th session of the United Nations General Assembly. I assure you of Bangladesh delegation's full cooperation throughout the session. I also commend your predecessor, His Excellency Mr. Sabah Qureshi, for his successful steering of the 77th session. I would also like to express my deep appreciations to the Secretary General, Mr. Antonio Guterres, for his strong commitment to strengthening multilateralism, for his efforts, bold statements, and for his far-sighted and pragmatic steps towards making the UN deliver its mandates and stand up to the challenges of the current world. At this critical juncture, Mr. President, your call for rebuilding trust and reigniting global solidarity reminds me of the maiden speech by our father of the nation in this August Assembly. Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman stated in his address to this Assembly in 1974, and I quote, "The great economic upheavals that have shaken our world should generate a sense of urgency for building a just economic order. Only a regeneration of the feeling of human solidarity and brotherhood and an acknowledgement of interdependence can bring about a rational solution and urgent action needed to avoid such catastrophe." Unquote. In this connection, we deeply appreciate the Secretary General's initiative to convene the Summit of the Future next year. We hope that this process will amply complement our efforts to attain the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Mr. President, since assuming office in 2009, we have transformed Bangladesh from a lower middle-income country to a middle-income country. We have reduced poverty rate from 41.5% in 2006 to 18.7% in 2022, an extreme poverty rate from 25.1% to 5.6%. We have expanded the social safety net coverage to ensure social and financial security for destitute women, widows, the elderly, persons with disabilities, persons of third gender, and other marginalized segments of the society. 40 million people are receiving the benefits of our social safety net program directly or indirectly. In the current fiscal year, a total of $12 billion have been allocated for the social safety net programs. This year, we have introduced the universal pension scheme through which any citizen aged between 18 to 50 can avail of the old age benefits. Mr. President, we are committed to ensure women empowerment and gender equality within a stipulated time frame. We have given special attention to overall education, including female literacy. We have been providing textbooks free of cost up to secondary level since 2010. Starting from the primary to higher education, about 23 million students are being provided with stipends, scholarships, and one-time grants. More than half of those recipients are female. Mr. President, despite contributing less than 0.47% of global emissions, Bangladesh is one of the most climatically vulnerable countries in the world. The adverse effects of climate change pose serious threats to our security and economic prosperity of our present and future generations. Urgent, bold, and ambitious collective actions are needed to address these threats. We established the Bangladesh Climate Change Trust Fund back in 2009 to finance climate adaptation and allocated $480 million to this fund so far from our own resources. Under Astayan Project, a landmark initiative of my government for the landless and homeless people, 5 million people from 840,000 families have been provided with houses free of cost. Mr. President, the developed economies must fulfill their $100 billion commitments. We demand an urgent operationalization of the loss and damage funds as agreed in COP27. We call for a stronger global solidarity in shaping the burden of climate migrants induced by sea level rise, salinity increase, river erosion, floods, and droughts. The interlinked crises of the past few years have pushed up prices of food, energy, and commodities globally, which have left negative impacts on our economy. We have ensured food for everyone. We are providing 10 million people in low income bracket with rice and other commodities at affordable prices. We have taken different initiatives to keep inflation under control. I thank the Secretary General for forming the Global Crisis Response Group in 2022 and for the group's continued advocacy and solutions in addressing the global food, energy, and financial crisis. We are deeply concerned that the Black Sea Grain Initiative has become defunct and call upon all parties concerned for its early restoration. Besides, for the countries like ours, uninterrupted access to fertilizers must be ensured. As part of Vision 2041, my government is heavily investing in building a smart Bangladesh to transform the country into a high-income, poverty-free, developed nation, grounded in proper utilization of science and technology and powered by innovation. Mr. President, in Bangladesh, we have achieved exemplary success in bringing primary healthcare services to the grassroots level through community clinics. Bangladesh's success has been recognized and appreciated by this august assembly. After peaceful settlement of maritime boundaries with our neighboring countries, the blue economy has opened up a new horizon for development of Bangladesh. We believe the provisions of UNCLOS need to be effectively implemented to ensure sustainable use of marine resources. The day before yesterday, I signed the agreement under the United Nations Convention on the Conservation and Sustainable Use of Marine Biological Diversity of Areas Beyond National Jurisdiction, known as BBNJ Agreement. Mr. President, our commitment to global peace and security is well manifested in our contribution to the UN peacekeeping operations. As of now, 188,000 men and women from Bangladesh have served in 55 UN peacekeeping missions in 40 countries. Owing to our own experience, we are also actively contributing to the post-conflict reconstruction efforts through our leadership role in the UN Peacebuilding Commission. We strongly support the role of the Commission in strengthening the UN's prevention agenda. Mr. President, we remain concerned at the continued prevalence of terrorist threats, which are now taking new shapes due to misuse of information and communications technology. My government maintains a zero-tolerance policy against terrorism and violent extremism. Acts that hurt communal harmony and harm peaceful coexistence of people of different faiths and beliefs are serious crimes. Bangladesh believes in communal harmony. As an elected member of the Human Rights Council, we are working with the fellow member states towards safeguarding all human rights of people around the world. In this session today, I would like to unequivocally reiterate that we will continue to promote democracy, rule of law, and freedom of expression in line with the Constitution of Bangladesh. Mr. President, this year marks the 75th anniversary of Nakba, the catastrophe inflicted upon the people of Palestine. It is deeply troubling that the legitimate rights of Palestinian people have remained unmet. We will continue our efforts to realize the rights of the people of Palestine. Bangladesh will always stand by Palestine. It has been 6 years since the forcibly displaced Rohingyas from Myanmar have been expelled from their country. Out of humanitarian concerns, we have given them temporary shelter. The displaced Rohingyas want to return to their own country and live in a peaceful life there. Let us ensure that those destitute people can return to their own home soon. Mr. President, on 15th August 1975, my father, the father of our nation and the incumbent president of Bangladesh, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, was brutally assassinated. A total of 18 members of my family were killed on that day, including my mother, my 3 younger brothers, 2 sisters-in-law, and my parental uncles. Only my younger sister and myself survived the brutality as we were abroad at that time. Before that, in 1971, 3 million people of our country were killed during the Great War of Liberation. 200,000 women were heinously tortured and abused. As a victim of and witness to brutalities of war and assassination, I can feel the pain and agony that people endure due to the horrors of war, killings, coup d'etat, and conflicts. Therefore, today my appeal is to you, to the leaders of the world, let us shun the path of war, sanctions, and confrontation. And work collectively for enduring peace and welfare of the humankind, and for the economic prosperity of our people and the future generations. I thank you all. Joy Bangla, Joy Bangabandhu. May Bangladesh live forever.
On behalf of the Assembly, I wish to thank the Prime Minister of the People's Republic of Bangladesh for the statement just made. The Assembly will hear an address by His Excellency Mohammed Shia al-Sudani, Prime Minister of the Republic of Iraq. I request protocol to escort His Excellency. I have a great pleasure in welcoming His Excellency Mohammed Shia al-Sudani, Prime Minister of the Republic of Iraq, and I invite him to address the Assembly.
In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful, Mr. President of the United Nations General Assembly, Your Excellency, the Secretary General of the United Nations, ladies and gentlemen, may God and peace blessings be upon you all. First, I would like, and on behalf of the government and people of Iraq, to offer our sincere condolences and our solidarity to the Kingdom of Morocco and the State of Libya, government and people, over the catastrophe of the earthquake in Morocco and the floods in Libya. And we ask God Almighty to grant peace to the families of the deceased and a quick recovery to the injured. Mr. President, I come to you today bearing the salutations of the Iraqi people. Iraq was among the 50 states that founded this important organization 78 years ago. Iraq has always, and to this very day, believed in the general principles that the United Nations was founded upon, and it contributes to all of its programs because it believes that our only path is the path of human brotherhood and solidarity to guarantee the safe existence of the world as a whole. Ladies and gentlemen, the spirit of consensus has prevailed in the new Iraq, and we have overcome some difficult days. We now have a government that enjoys a widespread political coalition that covers all aspects and shades of the Iraqi society. This government has adopted a comprehensive and ambitious reforms programs to correct our path and to regain trust in the political system and to offer a dignified life to our citizens and to secure their future and build a capable and strong Iraq. On this path, we have adopted a program with crucial priorities that reflect issues that must be implemented without delay and which relate to the basic needs of our people. These priorities include employment opportunities, overhauling the services sectors, poverty eradication, raising the standards of living, fighting corruption, and enacting comprehensive reforms economically and in the sectors of management, finances, and banks in order to overcome the obsolete legacy of previous management systems that were unable to keep pace with changes and global advancements. We have made important strides in this direction and in record time. The investment climate in Iraq has developed and has opened up to the global economy and to fruitful partnerships. We have signed many agreements in a variety of sectors. Iraq has become a safe environment that attracts investors to opportunities that are filled with promise. Iraq continues to be an important oil state. It is a pivotal state in the global energy market. It offers opportunities and projects and businesses of extreme importance in this field. We have launched the Road to Development project. This pioneering project is one of the most modern projects in the region. It is a vital land corridor that connects essential economic parts in our developing area. It is the best path for trade and economic exchange in the region. It is important in the field of transport and economy. This project is a strategic Iraqi vision, a vision of connectivity and outreach to the world, and positive economic interaction. Many international organizations have issued reports citing the spread of corruption in Iraq. We have diagnosed this disease, and we have named it the corruption pandemic, making combating it the top of our priorities. We are tracking down wanted persons wherever they were, and regardless of their ranks and affiliations. We have surrendered them to the judiciary, the Iraqi judiciary, so that this disease can be stamped out. Here, we ask our friends and our partners to help us combat corruption in all its stages. We ask them to facilitate pursuing those who perpetrate corruption. We must all work together and cooperate in combating corruption. We must return the money that they have stolen, because we believe that there is a symbiotic relationship between corruption and terrorism, and this is what we all want to fight. Esteemed delegates, we have established an independent and balanced foreign policy that is targeted towards cooperation and that is based on bringing views closer together and focusing on commonalities. We want Iraq to be a source of stability in its regional and international sphere. We want Iraq to be part of the solution to any international or regional problem. We want Iraq to be an enabler of understanding and cooperation. We seek to build constructive partnerships that are based on mutual respect and on incentivizing all the different parties. We aim to help in drawing policies that would establish and achieve sustainable development for our peace-loving peoples. The Republic of Iraq reaffirms its commitment to the principles of international law. We reaffirm our respect for all United Nations resolutions. We stress our determination to establish the best of ties with everyone, especially our neighbors. We reject any interference in our internal affairs, regardless of the excuse. And our Constitution stipulates that Iraq will not be a launching point for any aggression towards other states. Similarly, we ask everyone to respect Iraq's sovereignty and territorial integrity. We reserve our right to take the necessary measures as established by international laws and conventions to repel any violation of our country. Here, we reaffirm that we extend a hand of friendship to our neighbors to maintain the security and stability and progress and prosperity of our region in a manner that would guarantee prosperity for our peoples. We hope to achieve regional integration. We hope to remove anything that obstructs the free flow of trade in the region. We aim to facilitate the movement of persons and capital and goods through political borders, and we aim to connect infrastructures together. All of these are factors that would mitigate the potential for armed conflict and would limit the further escalation of existing conflicts. We see a that we can achieve economic integration by standardizing and streamlining economic policies and custom fees and laws and connecting economic infrastructures together through joint investments and offering opportunities. And as a gesture towards pushing forward these efforts, we are working on holding the Baghdad 2023 Conference for Economic Integration and Regional Stability. We will not follow a policy of polarization. Rather, we will deal with everyone in accordance with our national interests. We continue to bolster Iraq's natural place in the field of international cooperation and take every action to enhance stability. Our government has placed the file of IDPs and the forcibly displaced persons at the top of our priorities, and we have taken many national measures to find solutions, sustainable ones, to secure their voluntary and safe return to their homes and to rebuild their liberated cities. We have also sought to resolve the issue of missing persons who were disappeared by the criminals of Daesh. We offer material and psychological support to their families and work on their reintegration. In Iraq, we are moving towards endorsing a policy of the protection of civilians so that we would entrench the concept of preserving human rights and respecting international humanitarian law. We train our security forces and we monitor their performance in the field of protecting civilians, especially in terms of any mistakes that are committed in armed conflicts. We also seek to protect civilians during natural disasters. This would make Iraq the first state in the Middle East that adopts such a policy and creates an environment of cooperation between security forces and the citizens. We are making steady progress towards holding local elections in the governorates towards the end of this year, after a 10-year hiatus. These elections are a pillar of decentralization in Iraq. They are an important part of the resilience of the governance system and state establishments. The federal government, through its comprehensive and multiple programs, enjoys the best of relations with the region of Kurdistan and all of the governorates of Iraq on an equal footing. It is in constant contact with the representatives of the region and the local governments in all of Iraq's governorates so that we would transform opportunities to projects that would enhance the development of resources and the Iraqi economy. Ladies and gentlemen, our region and our country specifically, the land of Mesopotamia, the land between the two great rivers, is suffering from a drought that is a result of climate change, and there is an extreme need to preserve our rights in water resources and international river basins. The natural water bodies in Al-Ahwar, the Iraqi marshes, is one of the lungs of the entire planet. Having these marshes dry out would be a biological, ecological, and historic loss to all living beings on this planet. There would be a loss of a human heritage and a chapter in the book of humanity and its civilization. Iraq witnessed the first international treaty, and this treaty was on water, and it was signed 2,550 years ago. Therefore, the cradle of civilization must not be allowed to die of thirst. This environmental disaster will have a harsher impact on Iraq and the region due to the unprecedented increase in temperatures, which turns every aspect of daily life into an almost impossible task. Therefore, Iraq is working on and calling for exerting more efforts between the relevant regional states so that we could work together and we could find an effective coordination mechanism so that we could form a negotiating bloc within the Climate Convention. We call for establishing an integrated mechanism to manage cross-border water resources and to address the effects of droughts and sandstorms and heat waves. We stress the need to mobilize international efforts to guarantee the sustainability of water resources. Here, we call for establishing a regional grouping that would be comprised of the coastal states of the Gulf, including Iraq and Iran and the member states of the Gulf Cooperation Council, because these are the states that will be disproportionately subject to the temperature rise. This grouping would be tasked with coordinating regional efforts to manage water resources and address climate change and bolster environmental protection and work together in leading action to confront drought. Our government at the national level has taken the necessary measures to lessen emissions and stop gas flaring and the environmental pollution it causes. We have also launched several projects in terms of waste recycling and encouraging the use of clean energy. Our government has endorsed and ratified a national strategy to combat pollution and its impact for the years 2023 to 2030. Iraq believes that